China just took it to the next level. I'm going to tell you what's been happening inside of China. We're going to look at the economic side. Of course, we want to talk about the geopolitical. These things are going to affect everybody. They just made a change, and that is related to what they call national security. This is big, and it's going to be something that you need to pay attention to. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. What we've been talking about all along has been China's acts of intentional dominance in certain sectors. We've looked at how they had been buying up all these resources all over the place, seeking partnerships with not just the US to buy the soybeans, but they also went to Brazil to get those. They also went around the world to get metals and all different types of things, including oil and gas, trying to basically be able to withstand a crisis. It looked like they were preparing for war, but why would they do so in a time of supposed peace? Well, that of course isn't the case, right? We've seen these wars escalating, and we've seen the rhetoric increasing. And it is, of course, become worrisome, and this is where I want to start. You had Janet Yellen inside of China. She had a 5-hour meeting with her counterpart, and essentially saying that it was candid, it was positive, a step in the right direction. That's good. We want to see talks. We don't want to see arguments. And of course, we want to see progress on anything. At least they're talking. That's good. Some countries, we have seen what happens when they don't talk. There's a battle. Of course, Saudi and Iran, they're finally talking. China in the middle of that, mediating, and that is positive. Even though they may never resolve it, at least they're talking. That's positive. And so we see the US and China doing the same here. Now, this is a translated article directly from the Chinese government, and it says this. Announcement number 23 of 2023 of the Ministry of Commerce and the General Administration of Customs on the implementation of export control on gallium and germanium related items. They are restricting the export of these two critical metals. I want you to know this. I want you to see that when you have products that are made out of these real key things, they've got these rare earth metals. And of course, they are the ones who are doing all the refining. China does it all, basically. A lot of countries have rare earth metals. Some say they're not even that rare, but China's doing the refinement of that. So if you want a product that's using this, well, then suddenly China is saying, no, you can't have that. This is very worrisome. Now, according to China, they are saying this is in the interest of national security. I am really concerned as to what this is going to do, and especially the timing. That's what we need to understand here. It's the timing. You have Janet Yellen coming over. It's big. It's big news. A high-level official. They're saying, hey, everything's okay. Let's talk here. And at the exact same time, you have the restrictions being put in place. That sends a signal. It sends a very big signal. So let's see what happens to that. I'm going to give you the details. Rare ingredients. Here's a breakdown of the rare earth materials used to make each. F-35s. You got, all these different things here. Submarines. You got all of those. And they, of course, need rare earth minerals. In all these, and now China's restricting. This is the type of thing that you just can't get away from. Imagine something so serious like, the war machine, the military-industrial complex. They love to spend money and they love to do their saber rattling. And you rely on the country that you want to go to war with in order to make the, all these ships and all these planes and submarines. I mean, it doesn't make sense unless you were trying to create an issue at some point. But that's 2 layers deep, and I know that some people don't like that. So we're going to move on. Now, here we go. This is cut from an article from the Chinese news source, but it's referring to a law that was put in. And by the way, all of these three things I'm discussing here are connected. So we have to understand that. They passed this new law, and it states that the PRC stays true, the People's Republic of China, stays true to the vision of common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable global security, and endeavors to strengthen international security cooperation and its participation in mechanisms of global security governance. It stresses Beijing's right to take corresponding countermeasures, this is the big part, countermeasures and restrictive measures against acts that violate international law and norms and that endanger China's sovereignty, security, and development interests. Do you see what's going on here? A lot of big talk in there, but essentially they're going to get tough as they can with the US. That's what it's all about. I see Europe as siding more with China than they are with the US in many cases. Of course, we have NATO in that, but in many cases, Europe is saying, no, we don't want to do anything bad to China. We don't want to put sanctions on China. We don't want that. We love China as a partner. And the US is saying, hey, we can fend for ourselves. Our economy can do this. We want as much force as possible because it's a different world, right? US is trying to hang on to their empire. China's saying, we want to be the next empire. And Europe is basically saying, hey, we can barely keep our economies alive. I mean, that's the way I see it. So, of course, Europe wants to still do business with China. They want cheap manufacturing. They want all that. And the US is kind of in a very different position than Europe. So I see it like that. In terms of what's happening here, it is a Wild West. It is an uncertain future, but we know geopolitically what's been happening. So that's the geopolitics of this all. I need to cover the economic aspect, and that's in some ways just as big as what we just talked about. Can you believe it? I'm going to bring you some key information right now about what's going on inside of China. Stay tuned with me. Let me know what you think of the geopolitics, really that part of it. I need to know what you think. Put it in the comments and let's get the conversation going, okay? So let me get into this here. You can see it for yourself. Meticulous planning, in-depth research, and long-distance travel. Welcome to this special forces style hunt for the best bank deposit rates in China. So what's happening here is that commercial lenders are lowering rates on a range of deposit products. Young Chinese are working hard, tracking down the highest rate returns for their money. And people are traveling all over the place just for a spot to park their money because there are capital controls. And so essentially the interest rates are declining. So now Chinese are saying, where can I put my money? You can't just send it out overseas and get a better return and bring it back in. There's other things, though, that they are doing. And that's why I brought up something in a second. I'll show you. China banks cut rates for $453 billion of corporate dollar deposits. Okay, so they're cutting rates. We've seen that before. And why are they doing this? It's because, of course, they want stimulus. They don't want people to park their money inside of banks. They don't want that. What they want people to do is loan out, build, invest, start businesses, do anything, get the currency flowing. But they don't want to do that. They're scared. They're concerned. They've seen what happened to the real estate industry. And here we are today. The businesses aren't as strong as they were before. All these things have been moving, right? We've seen that a lot. So this is part of it, okay? Chinese investors are rushing offshore to make dollar deposits and buy Hong Kong insurance in a single domestic confidence is languishing and that the ailing yuan faces more pressure. At the bottom, it says this, okay? So Hong Kong insurance has long been a channel for Chinese buying assets abroad, with the policies providing more protection than what's available on the mainland and attendant savings and investment products, mostly denominated in dollars with a global remit. So all I'm saying here is that this is their way to kind of invest outside of China. That's as far as they can go. They're only allowed to take out a small sum every year. So basically, that's where they're at. right here and now. They're pulling their cash. They're trying to bring it somewhere where they can get a better yield and safer as, you know, an asset for them. They don't want to keep it all on the mainland. They're concerned. They're seeing a problem and they want to do what they can. And so they're seeing Hong Kong as a potential place to put some money right now. China is entering a balance sheet recession as borrowers shy away from the new debt in a potential replay of Japan's lost decades. Now, Japan is completely finished, and I don't think they should necessarily be relating the two, but we know specifically that China has way too much debt. They've got millions upon millions of empty homes. They do have many concerns. I've talked about all of those things here on the channel, but China is a very different place right now than Japan is at this time. I mean, even though there is a demographics issue that's clear, it's a whole different world, okay? I just want to make that known. They do talk about this. So it defines a balance sheet recession as a period during which consumers and businesses put more of their money towards paying down the debt instead of spending or investing. And that's really a big key, all right? A lot of people right now, they're saying, okay, I'm just going to hold on. I'm not going to go invest. I'm not going to take that risk. And we are seeing the slowdown inside of China overall. And, you know, what do you expect after years of lockdowns? All the stimulus they have done at this point has been like just little bits at a time. It's not been this huge surge or huge rush of stimulus. However, in about a month from now, new information is going to be released where the expectation is we're going to get something big. So you got to subscribe to the channel and I will bring those details to you as soon as they're unfolded. I will make a video immediately after. So definitely stay tuned for that. Quickly right here, Beijing and Shanghai record largest decline in second-hand home prices. So second-hand homes, not, culturally inside of China, not the best thing. But we can see that they have been dropping significantly, which is just one more indicator on top of that they don't want these type of homes, okay? And real estate in general just taking a hit. Global trade needs some help as China stumbles. Of course, we have seen it all around. Looking at these several indicators, you can see that trade flows down. And when we do not have the positive news coming out of China, that's very clear of what's happening globally. Okay, big time. You got 7 of these indicators are below normal right now. Shipping, Singapore data in there, Hong Kong data in there, the Baltic dry, and so on, okay? Big stuff, big stuff. And then I want to finish off with this right here, something directly from the leader of China and what he had to say. And this to me is quite shocking when we see it in the context of everything else I talked about here. Okay, this is a quote. He required the military to deepen war and combat planning to increase the chances of victory in actual combat. Now, of course, I'm sure that's a translation, but the point is very simple. Let's get our troops ready. Let's prepare for war. Who is that war with? I mean, is it with, Russia? Is it with Ukraine? Is it with Brazil? No, I think we know very clearly who they're fighting against in this supposed potential war. And it's not directly with Taiwan. We know that Taiwan couldn't possibly defend itself. We're talking about a war between China and the US. This is unbelievable when I think about the implications. Now, I don't think that there will be a hot war. I don't think it can last. I think it would end in seconds. But we can absolutely have a currency war, an economic war, and a cyber war. That cyber war, I think, would be unimaginable how damaging, how much we rely on our current infrastructure. It would be painful for everybody instantaneously. So watch out for this. Take a look at all the data that's been coming forward. And I want you to watch this. It is all about the declining dollar and how to safeguard your assets. You got to do so. You got to check this video out. Click it, and I'll see you there.